Hey there, welcome back to our tutorial series on YouTube brought to you by the O3 Schools JAMB app. And peradventure, this is your first time of coming across our videos, so you've never heard of the O3 Schools JAMB app and you don't know what it's about. The O3 Schools JAMB app is simply an app designed for O-level students. It is to help them make adequate preparations for examinations that they might want to sit for. So all you have to do is go to Play Store, download the O3 Schools JAMB app, activate it, and then you can get access to all the features that the app has to offer. Features like the classroom feature, question search, you can play educational games, even participate in a weekly challenge every Saturday beginning at 10 a.m. So you do not want to miss this. Hurry now, download the O3 Schools JAMB app from Play Store. For today's class, we'll be concluding parables. Parables about wealth and prayer. On wealth, Jesus told the parable of the rich fool. In Luke chapter 12. Now, while Jesus was preaching to a multitude, someone from the multitude asked him to please tell his brother to divide their inheritance. Now, Jesus told him that he was not a judge or an arbitrator over him and his brother. Then he also proceeded to tell them the parable of the rich fool to warn them against covetousness. In the parable of the rich fool, a certain rich man had a plentiful harvest. The harvest was so much that he didn't have room enough to store them. So he decided to pull down his old barn and erect a larger one. He also said to himself, "Soul, you have many goods laid up for many years. Take your ease, eat, drink, be merry, relax," and all of that. That very night, God told him that his soul was required of him and asked him who would now enjoy those goods that he had laid up. So the parable of the rich fool teaches us that life doesn't only consist in abundance of material possessions. And if we keep our focus only on wealth, it will lead us to our destruction, which is the parable of the rich fool that Jesus told about wealth. And then about prayer, Jesus told the parable of the persistent widow. In Luke chapter 18. In the parable of the persistent widow, there was a certain judge that had no fear for God, neither did he have any regard for man. Now, in that same city, a widow went to the judge and begged him to help her get justice from her adversary. At first, the judge paid the woman no attention, but because the woman was persistent, the judge decided to help her, lest she would wear him down. So the woman was very persistent, and at the end, the judge helped her. In the parable of the persistent widow, Jesus is trying to tell us that we should be persistent, we should be consistent in prayers, because whoever asks receives. And Jesus also said that men ought always to pray and not to faint. So whatever we ask God, if we are persistent in prayers, just like the persistent widow, the same way the judge finally relented and helped her, God will also answer our prayers if we are persistent that way. Jesus also told the parable of the Pharisee and the tax collector. Also in Luke chapter 18. In the parable of the Pharisee and the tax collector, but both the Pharisee and the tax collector went to the temple to pray. Now, while the Pharisee stood and emphasized his righteousness, he thanked God that he was better than others, even the tax collector beside him. He paid his tithes, he fasted twice a week and all of that. The tax collector bowed his head and acknowledged that he was a sinner, asking God for mercy. Now, in this parable, Jesus said that the tax collector went home more justified than the Pharisee. Now, this parable is about humility. God will exalt those that humble themselves and humble those that exalt themselves. So we should not rely on our own righteousness. We should not trust in our righteousness. Rather, we should rely and depend on God. So this parable, the parable of the rich fool, teaches us about how our attitude to wealth should be. And then the parable of the persistent widow and the parable of the Pharisee and the tax collector teaches us our attitude towards prayer, how we should pray to God. So now we attempt questions from the O3 Schools JAMB app based on this topic. So you can go to the question search feature, type in the topic, parables about wealth and prayer, and previously asked questions would come up. Here's a question. And I will say to my soul, soul, you have ample goods laid up for many years. Take your ease, eat, drink, be merry. God's response to the statement above was that A, the servant should enter into the rest of his Lord. B, his soul was required of him. C, his soul should be satisfied with his increase. D, he should lay up more treasures for himself. God's response was that his soul was required of him that same night. Do not lay up for yourselves treasures on earth. This statement shows that Jesus, A, doesn't want Christians to be rich. B, forbids worldly possessions by believers. C, wants Christians to seek first the kingdom of God. D, regards poverty as a condition for the kingdom of God. C, he wants Christians to seek first the kingdom of God. Our focus shouldn't only be on wealth. So please do well to download the O3 Schools JAMB app if you are yet to get more questions on this topic as well as other topics of your interest. And then also do not forget to like this video, make comments or suggestions as the case may be, and then also subscribe so you can be notified, you get updates once there are new classes up.